Alright, so I'm going to talk about the CPSC's PPA, so the Consumer Product Safety Commission's Poison Prevention Packaging Act. So the first thing, after reading the PDF they released, there is some FAQ that will probably appear on the test, and something of some importance is the exemptions under this law, and there are a few. And that includes your sublingual dosage forms of nitroglycerin. So these are specific exemptions that are in the PPPA regulations, 16 CFR. So sublingual dosage forms of nitroglycerin, and typically they all make sense. These are drugs that if patients have, they need easy access to, or they just come in a different form of packaging. And there's a lot of, strengths less than this milligrams and things like that. I don't think I've never heard of those being types of questions on the test. Just, I have heard that exemptions are on there, specifically the more common ones like your sublingual dosage forms of nitroglycerin don't need the special child resistant packaging. Same for your sublingual and chewable forms of isorbide dinitrate, 10 milligrams or less. Erythromycin granules for oral suspension and oral suspensions in packagings containing not more than 8 grams. So I think I'm just going to stop saying the doses less than, because I don't believe that's important. Just like low forms, you typically, if it's high amount of drugs, it's probably going to be in a child resistance. So there's your anhydrous cholesterol, your potassium supplements. So this one might be a little different. Potassium supplements in unit dosage forms, including individually lapped effervescent tablets, unit dose vials of liquid potassium, and powdered potassium in unit dose packets containing not more than 50 milliequivalents per unit dose are exempt. So more than 50 milliequivalents of potassium is not exempt. It has to be in the Poison Prevention Act and needs child regulation. So sodium fluoride drug preparations, your bethmethasone tablets, mependazole, methylprednisolone in tablet forms in packages containing not more than 84 milligrams of the drug. So, the steroids that come in packs, that way it's easier to taper, things like that. Your cholesterol in powder form in packages containing not more than 5 grams. Pancrelipase preparations. Any clinically administered oral contraceptives in memory aid dispenser packages. Prednisone in tablet form when dispensed. Conjugated estrogen tablets in the memory aid format. Norethindrone acetate tablets in memory aid format. Medroxyprogesterone acetate tablets. Saccharides, sucrase preparations in solutions of glycerol and water. Your hormone replacement therapy products that rely solely upon the activity of one or more progesterone or estrogen substances are exempt. Now, the FAQ. So there's a lot of questions here. I'm just going to go over the ones that I think are pertinent. You can go over this document as well. It's on the CPSC website, Poison Prevention Act. It's a PDF. So, main individual requests that all of his or her prescriptions be filled in conventional packaging, so non-child resistant. So yes, the law does not preclude a pharmacist from relying upon a specific request from a patient to have all of his or her medications placed in non-special packaging. Many pharmacists choose to have this request in writing, like a blanket waiver. However, a single request from a patient to dispense a specific prescription in non-special packaging is not a basis for the pharmacist to infer the patient wants all subsequent prescriptions to be dispensed in non-special packaging. Such a request is not a blanket waiver. So the pharmacist is unaware that one of his or her customers, if a pharmacist is aware that one of his or her customers prefers conventional packaging for his or her prescriptions, so not the child resistant, Can the pharmacist make a decision without the customer's specific request? No. The pharmacist may advise the customer that he or she has the option, but he cannot just do it. May the customer make a choice for conventional packaging in writing? The law and regulations do not require a written request. So, I mean, they can. May a pharmacist dispense a prescription drug in a non-complying package in response to a standing order from a physician that is to be dispensed? So this can only be done when it applies to refills of a prescription, where the physician has prescribed non-complying packaging for that prescription. However, a drug dispensed to the same person on a different prescription of the same or another prescriber must be dispensed in special packaging unless the prescription directs the use of non-compliant packaging or the purchaser requests it. So basically, a physician can only do this once. A physician can't do a blanket waiver for all the prescriptions. They have to write it individual on each prescription if that's what they want for their patient. So does the regulatory reference to dosage forms intended for oral administration include drugs intended for topical administration in the teeth or mouth, or in the dosage form intended for inhalation? No. Those regulations intend oral administration to pertain to drugs that are taken by mouth for systemic aid and not local effect. Sublingual preparations are considered orally administered, even though they are not swallowed. So they will need that marker that says this dosage form is intended for oral administration. So for oral administration. In the case of antibiotic drug provided by the manufacturer in a granular form to be reconstituted by the pharmacist, who is responsible for providing the special package, the pharmacist or the manufacturer. So if the product is the same container intended to be given to the purchaser, the manufacturer and the pharmacist are both responsible. So, like, the pharmacists are your last line. Does that make sense? May I, as a hospital pharmacist, dispense a regulated drug in a conventional dosage for use by a patient in the hospital? So yes, provided that the patient is confined in the hospital, you can do a normal package. Drugs dispensed for outpatient must be packaged in accordance with the appliance regulations for special packaging. So a way to remember, if they're taking it home, it probably needs to be a special package unless it's requested. So another question, are local hospitals sometimes calls upon my pharmacy to provide drugs for patient use within the hospital? Must these drugs be dispensed in special packaging? So again, they're not taking home, so no. Provided they are to be used for institutionalized patients, the test is whether the package is likely to enter a home. Oh, yeah, it says it there. So another question, my pharmacy provides drugs to a nursing home. Must these drugs be dispensed in special packaging? No. Traditional nursing homes where the nursing staff administers doses to residents are considered to be institutions. So this would not be true of a senior citizen apartment complex or even in assisted living facilities where residents store their drugs in their households. All right. For manufacturers and packagers, they have an FAQ as well. None of those seemed pertinent except a few. So one question said, precisely, what does the term special packaging mean? So Congress defined the term special packaging in the PPPA. The term special packaging means packaging that is designed or constructed to be significantly difficult for children under 5 years of age to open or obtain a toxic or harmful amount of the substance within a reasonable time, and also not difficult for normal adults to use properly. So however, special packaging does not mean packaging which all such children cannot open or obtain a toxic or harmful amount within a reasonable time. Normal adults are regarded as those with no overt physical handicaps, which would preclude their manipulating the package. To meet PPPA standards, all children need not be prevented from gaining access to the regulated product. This is why the packaging is called child resistant and not child proof. So that was a quote from the FAQ, just as pretty much everything else was. None of this is really my own words this time. So another question, what should a pharmacist or physician do if they know or suspect that PPPA regulations are being violated? You should contact the CPSC, headquarters, either by phone, letter, or email. So if you know these are being violated, you contact the Consumer Product Safety Commission. That seems like a good question to me. I've never heard about it being on there, but we'll see. The FDA requires tamper-evident packaging for over-the-counter drugs. Does this replace the requirement for special packaging? No. Those two systems are independent of one another. And that relates back to those Tylenol murders. And all right, thank you. Good luck on your test.